What do you think of the expression, do what you love and the money will follow? My personal opinion is it's a lot of hogwash. And it gets people very passionate about what they want to do, which is great. But if you're doing something for the money and you're doing something for the end destination, it's going to lead to failure because your motivation will diminish when you don't achieve your reward. So if I have this pot of gold at the end of my path and I say I want this pot of gold, I'm gonna struggle and strain and cry and moan when obstacles come in my way, when it gets too hot, when I'm run out of water, when the road gets rough, when I'm lost, because I'm looking at the pot of gold. And like a child says, I want my pot of gold now, and then the human nature, the tendency is then just to give up. So my passion is I love doing videos like this. I love public speaking. I love writing, and my goal was for a long time is I'm gonna be successful at it. I'm gonna make money at it, and I can do it and stuff like that. And I never seem to get off the ground. I never really seem to write. I never really seem to put videos on YouTube. And the biggest reason is because I had the goal, the bar set so high that I'm going to make a lot of money, I'm going to be well known, and my motivations were impure. They're not motivations that drive or propel someone towards a goal. And I just saw this great documentary called Independence Day about independent filmmakers that go to Park City and Sundance Film Festival, and they all just extrapolated about their trials and tribulations that they endure in order to become successful at their craft. And a lot of them, put their films on credit card and go into debt, have no life. And one filmmaker says, everything will become about the film. Every letter you write, every phone call you make, what you wake up thinking about, what you go to bed thinking about, becomes a film, and it becomes an obsession. And he said it's sad that it has to be like that. Another filmmaker remarked that even after you have success, you made your film, got picked up and it's well known, and it just doesn't seem to be enough. It doesn't fill that void. And that's the interesting thing. We always think that something external will make us content, and I think that is the root cause for so much misery and unhappiness, because then we put all our confidence and all our energy and motivation into something that's temporal. As soon as you make a film and it's a hit or it's not a hit, then you have to deal with the consequences. If it's a hit, there's all these expectations. Okay, you have to make another hit. And it really is kind of like winning the lottery. A lot of these things we look at, they were talking about Quentin Tarantino and another guy that became a famous independent filmmaker. And there's four guys sitting in a bed saying, if you think that's going to be you, you're wrong. And I love the honesty and truth in that, of what goes behind the struggle of someone who is great. And we could look at, a Michael Jordan. We could look at a famous actor, a brilliant writer. I was talking to my friend about a guitar player, Stephen Vai, and what he went through to become just a master at his craft, practicing, 10, 12, 13 hours a day, if not more, in his room alone, just practicing in order to achieve his result. And there's a great story about a concert pianist who is performing and just wows the audience, standing ovation. This lady comes up to him afterwards and says, "You know what, I'd give anything to be able to play like you." And he says, "No, you wouldn't." He says, "I spend 8 to 12 hours every day practicing and practicing. I have no social life, I have no money, I have very little in the way of anything besides my skill to play the piano." And when you think about it, yeah, he's right. Most people don't want to sacrifice and pay the price necessary to become rich and famous, or to become a master at their craft. So then where does that leave most of us? Most of us have a passion, whether we like to paint, whether we like to write, whether we like to act. And I think changing a mindset and saying, I'm just going to do it for the love of doing it. And I'll find other ways to make my money, and I'll just pursue what I love because I need to express myself. It's in a form of expression. I'm not doing it for any other reason but to follow my own inner heart. And I think that frees a lot of all that tension and pressure that we put in, that perfectionism that we put upon ourselves, about, oh, what are people going to think? I was talking to a local musician, and she was saying, oh, I was so nervous people weren't going to like what I was going to, my performance, my music. And it seems like it's an insecurity of all people, of all artists. They want to be liked, they want to be approved of. And I understand that's human nature, but I also understand that creates great limitations, and it's like being an artist with your hands tied behind your back, because now you create stuff in order to win approval, in order to get famous, in order to get popular, in order to get money. And just that motivation waters down the art. And that's what we have today, in music and movies and stuff like that, is people want to, in the movie they talked about independent filmmaking. That in itself has become watered down because everything is a derivative of what other people have made, instead of really taking risks and doing what is in your heart, regardless. And I understand that's more limitations, because if you're a filmmaker, you outlaid a lot of cash and you have to recoup that. So fortunately, I don't have that same limitation. I could put stuff on the internet, and even they could put stuff on the internet and just do it in a low cost. But I understand that is a challenge. But the thing that is freeing is not doing it in order to please other people, not doing it for the wrong motivations, which I talked about. And in order to do that, and my whole mantra, or the whole goal of the way I live my life and the decisions I make is towards freedom. Is my decision going to lead me towards freedom, more freedom, or is it going to restrict my freedom? And when I buy this possession, is that going to give me more freedom or restrict freedom? It's a very important thing. And when you have a simple life, it enables you to not have these constraints of 40, 50-hour work week job, which I was doing, and had no energy to write or to put stuff on YouTube. And then I think finally, and one of my main motivations for putting these videos on YouTube is to create a community of where people can support each other and encourage each other and help each other in whatever it is that they do love to do, whether it's music, acting, etc. So there's a whole plethora of things, but I'm curious what your opinion is. If you think that the old adage, do what you love and the money will follow, ends up doing more harm than good. Do you think it's true, not true? So look forward to your comments and feedback. Thanks.